Hello and welcome to Tangents on Everything and Nothing. I'm John Simon, your usual atypical host, and with me today is Gavin Simon. Today we're going to review the movie Ghostbusters Afterlife. So if you haven't seen this movie and don't like spoilers, turn it off right now because there's going to be tons of spoilers as we talk about the extremely nostalgic Ghostbusters Afterlife. So, Gavin, thank you for coming on the show. Hope you enjoy this. I know this is the first time and you're nervous, but
Yep.
on the movie reviews, I like to bring people in who I've seen the movie with. This way we can kind of talk about it and all that. Brief synopsis for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Egon dies, leaves his family, all this stuff in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and all hell breaks loose. Is that about right?
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, literally. I really did enjoy this movie. I'm going to go ahead and up front and say it's probably a two-seater for me. Going from 1 to 5, 5 being terrible, 2 being good, 1 being excellent, 0 being like the best movie ever, so that's probably never going to happen. So 2 is an exceptionally good ranking for it. That being said, Ghostbusters to me really was just a retelling J.J. Abrams' version of the original Ghostbusters.
I agree. A lot of similarities, and when they bring in the big baddie, there's really not much difference at that point from the original, except for how it's told.
Yeah. They literally picked up the story and planted it in a small, don't blink town, where the connection to the original movie is this is where they got the selenium. Was that selenium?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
They
that-
were mining the selenium that they built the tower in
New
Manhattan.
York, in Manhattan. Yep. And so you have Egon passing away. You don't really see him as much as his shadows because Harold Ramis had passed away years ago. He had actually been working on a third Ghostbusters, but that was like in development hell, as a lot of movies end up. So you have your characters. You have the mother of the children, because this is children of the heroes in this one, for lack of a better word. The mother is the daughter of Egon, and she is completely disassociated with him. She feels that he abandoned her. She's totally just given up on that all. But at the same time, her life is crashing. They're getting kicked out of their house, and nothing's going well. She's got 2 kids to take care of. And she ends up inheriting Egon's farm out in the middle of Oklahoma.
For lack of a better word.
Yep. So she picks up her life and the kids' lives and heads out. That's about all the character development you get on her. Then you have her oldest, who is basically a
Awkward teen.
horny, awkward teen.
Yeah.
He basically lies about his age to try to get a job, hits on this girl. We'll get to her in a moment, which I wish I could remember her name when I have to look it up online. But the youngest girl, the daughter, is basically it's Egon Spengler reincarnate. She's super genius. I will go ahead and say she's Mary Jane. There's nothing she can do that's wrong, at least as in the appearance. That being said, I think she actually gets more character development than anybody else because, yes, they establish she's basically a super genius. They go through and she tells you literally up front why she is the way she is, why she has a lack of emotion, why she's intelligent. They develop her really well.
Well, I think the majority of the focus of the entire movie is on her and how she reacts to people, how other people react to her, and her finding things out. The older brother has a little bit, but really it's on Phoebe is her name, Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah, her brother, though, I want to make in comparison, is pretty much the Peter Venkman of the group. She's the Egon. Then there's her friend. He's basically this geek. Geek the right word?
Yeah, I would say so.
Geek nerd. His name is Podcast. Can you guess what he does? Exactly. And he's definitely the comic relief. So he is the what was Dan Aykroyd's character's name? I looked it up so I could remember this, and I've totally forgot because my mind spaced.
Oh, are we not true Ghostbusters fans then? Because we can't remember.
I can't remember most of the things, so I'm fine. So basically, in comparison, you have all the characters covered, which brings us to the fourth new Ghostbusters, who is the brother's love interest, Crush. And she basically gets as much screen time and attention as Winston did in the original, which was kind of sad because it was almost a throwaway character, and I thought she had a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you have this moment where they first pull into town and they're settling in. They go to the local
diner, for lack of a better word. Yeah,
car hop where they've actually got the kids on skates and all that, bringing your food out, and he sees her. Jumps out of the car and goes immediately applies for a job and gets made fun of for this. But at that point, everything ensues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The house has, of course, all the toys. It has the car, which miraculously the older brother fixes up and gets running. Doesn't make it immaculate, but gets it running. That's the important part.
Yeah, he gets it running, and that's actually just a lot of fun to see the car back in action again.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. It was
and they were actually able to utilize some of the things in the car that they had plans for in the original Ghostbuster in the sequel, but never really got to.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about that at all. So, I mean, I don't remember that in the sequel.
Because they never had an excuse for it. And they had all these plans for the Ghostbuster cars. What it is a jump seat, so she can get somebody outside of the car and try to use the proton pack on
the move while they're in the car, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think the way they filmed that was
a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think the movie overall was fun, and even as basically a rehash or retelling of the first movie, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. There are tons, and I mean tons, of throwbacks. In the opening scenes when Egon is basically trying to capture the bad guy, and flat out, I'm going to tell you, it's Gozer. Gozer's come back. And the red chair he's in is pretty much an exact mimic of the chair that Sigourney Weaver was in when she was possessed, with the hands coming out and holding into it. And that's actually where Egon dies from a natural causes heart attack in a very spooky house. What happens at the very beginning is he captures a ghost, a spirit. I won't say which one. This one I won't spoil. But Gozer...
He uses it as bait.
Yeah, Gozer comes out, tries to get him. His trap doesn't work, and Gozer kills him. But they don't find the ghost that he had captured, that his bait that he had. So moving on, things start happening. Egon is there trying to communicate. Of course, he communicates directly with Phoebe.
Right.
And it's like an almost instant connection. And as the family splits off and starts exploring the house and the town, that's when she finds all his plans. It finds the proton packs, and they start reassembling stuff. And that is where she basically shows how she's perfect. She doesn't never seen a proton pack before, but knows exactly what's supposed to go into it.
Right.
By name.
I figured... I think it would have been better at that point to, maybe have her find some blueprints or something similar to say that, okay, she was able to look at this and, figure it out. When instead of literally just reaching in and able to take apart and fix what it is right then and there without any knowledge that we know of.
Yeah, of that. And what's funny is they actually they reveal that the children have no idea that ghosts were free and saved back in 1984 by the Ghostbusters.
Right. Before their time.
And, it's all on YouTube, and it takes this event for them to actually look it up. I will admit, though, that Egon makes his presence known to Phoebe. She doesn't flip out about it, but he does, in his own way, guide her as best he can. So moving a lamp, moving a figure, he can't communicate at all.
Right. He can just move objects or point kind of help point in the right direction.
Yep. And then everything escalates from there, and they get the second ghost, technically, of the whole story, or spirit, or supernatural being, is a Slimer-like creature, which looks like a
tardigrade.
But
it's
eats
really
metal.
cute.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cute.
So now that they've got the Ecto-1 running, they've got their
they got one of the
proton packs working, and they're all ready to go, and they're discovering all these new toys, and luckily Podcast is around too. They're scrambling around, find this thing, and tear up the equivalent of Downtown Freedom. It's inside joke for those who don't know. It's a little bigger.
A little bigger.
Gosport?
Yeah.
Okay, Downtown Gosport. And, they get busted by the cops when they're sitting there with the trap with an actual spirit in it, which they could have revealed and gotten off the hook for what they did. But no, the car's impounded, the proton pack's impounded, their RC car's impounded, everything's impounded. And, of course, they're picked up on the night that their mother's dating Paul Rudd. The first date. Paul Rudd is the science teacher. He's actually, I would have expected him to have had more of a substantial role. He is a significant character, but he's not the most memorable, oddly enough.
Yeah, I think they could have had more character development with him. They basically ran off of his connection with Phoebe because the kids are in summer school.
Yeah.
And they end up with him as their teacher, and he's not really a teacher. He just sets them up watching old 80s horror movies.
Yeah, so they start with Cujo, then they end up watching Child's Play.
Yeah, and then what he's actually doing is he's trying to pinpoint why there are earthquakes in this little town of Oklahoma that have no reason for there to be earthquakes at all.
And fracking is mentioned, a whole bunch of other things, and the style of wave coming forth is mentioned. And Phoebe, once again, shows her superior knowledge on everything, is able to identify the issue and what is wrong, but not the source, of course, not yet. But she basically outsmarts the teacher on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why she wasn't in college. That's how smart she's already is.
Very smart.
Yeah. Long story short, they end up discovering the mine, which was carved into a temple where Gozer and his well of souls, for lack of a better word, is festering. And Egon had actually set up several proton packs that were working well to, whenever there was a surge in the power or these earthquakes was happening, to quell them and basically create a barrier so they couldn't get past it.
Right.
And then, lo and behold, who rears their ugly heads?
the gatekeeper and the keymaster.
Yep.
The dogs.
Yeah.
My favorite characters from the first movie.
Gozer's,
hands down.
Yeah, Gozer's protectors and gatekeepers. So guess who gets to be possessed by those two? Yes, the mother and the teacher, Paul Rudd. Pulls out rather well. They touched off really well on how they were abducted. He almost does a full Rick Moranis, except for being tackled on the outside by somebody. Instead, it's at Walmart, where we get as he's going through, he finds a whole bunch of marshmallows.
Yeah, and one of them breaks out of its bag and is a absolutely adorable little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that's about 3 inches tall. And
yeah, they're cute as can be, and they're all adorable, and they're they want a hug, and no, he just bites his nose. And
yeah, they bite, and they are like little Stay Puft gremlins getting into everything.
So
and
all the marshmallows are exploding out of the bags as Stay Puft Marshmallow Men.
Yeah.
To which they then go through a montage inside a Walmart, making a lot of s'mores. They're sadistic.
Yeah, they are. They're very sadistic, roasting each other on the grill and making s'mores and Roombas and blenders. And
yeah, there's a great for anybody who knows the Roomba story about the cat shit. Yeah, they basically do the same thing, but with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I got to point that out. But this was actually, it was nostalgic, but probably one of the newer plots for the story that they had.
Yeah.
And I thought they brought it up pretty well. A bit of a backstory. In the town, nobody really likes Egon. He's referred to as Dirt or Dirt Farmer because all he can grow is dirt.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything that they consider productive. He's just this outcast, weird guy.
But he buys a lot of stuff.
He buys a lot of stuff, yes. Definitely. I mean, the setup that he has for his mega trap on his farm is absolutely amazing.
Yep. And we will get to that. They do reach out and, of course, get a hold of the original Ghostbusters. And that's where you get a little bit more of the backstory of what's going on. They kind of go on a rant of how all of them are very upset at Egon. But once they find out what Egon was doing, of course, he's forgiven. In the temple, they confront Gozer. And inside of the temple, one of the Guardians, of course, tears down the proton shield.
Yeah, one of the while it's going off during a burst of activity, they are able to move it enough to hit one of the others and blow the whole thing.
Yep. So
get rid of it, basically.
Gozer comes out and the town goes nuts, straight out of the original Ghostbusters when the containment facility was popped open. And they got the nice little rainbow and lights and streaks and stuff.
But not near as many spirits, like actual seeing the spirits interacting with the townspeople. You only get to see a couple, and it's
very minor.
Very minor. It is funny, but it's very minimal in comparison. I think with the first one. I
think they did that as they didn't feel that was necessary to rehash, so they wanted to go to the battle. And they cross the streams. They do everything the original Ghostbusters did, and it doesn't work. Gozer knows the trick this time, stops them, and starts foiling them.
I think Gozer seems to be stronger.
Learning.
This time. Definitely learning. Yep. Able to defend themselves from the stream, basically. Able to fend it off.
Yep. So as we had mentioned, the Dirt Farmer, what Egon had done is basically set up a huge set of traps. Not just one big one, but a huge set of one. And it's all set to be powered off of these high capacity capacitors. Is that a proper way to say it? High capacity capacitors.
I don't know, but
super capacitors, really.
Super capacitors. They're silos, small silos, or I mean that's really the only way I can think of. They're huge.
Yep. And well, as the chase goes on, you see more of the wonderful car being driven around, and a few cringe moments where you think it's, in reality that car should have died. But that's neither here nor there. They get it back to the house because the house is the trap. The whole area around it, the dirt, is the trap. There's a whole bunch of traps under the dirt. Go figure. They get there. They think they've got Gozer, and the same thing that happened to Egon at the beginning is it fails. There's not enough power at all. Then that's when the original Ghostbusters make their
cameos, make their appearance to help save the day.
And this is where I think there's a bit of a plot hole because Dan Aykroyd actually says, that Egon took everything, took all their equipment, all their uniforms, the car, the Ecto-1, everything, and just took off, left. But yet when they show up, they're fully decked out in their gear, and you did make a good point. They should have more than one suit.
Yeah, but they also had their proton packs, so we're kind of...
Where did those come from?
But at the same time, when you think about that, when Phoebe was messing around with the one, it was one, and it didn't work, and that's why she was messing with it. He was coaxing her to help her. Egon was helping her fix the proton pack because it didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's the only one you see there at the farm. So maybe, we
need to watch it again because I think he's got more hanging in the shop. He's got one of his laboratories, and there's a whole bunch of gadgets and gizmos down there.
So if he's got more hanging in his shop, then why didn't they grab one that was already working instead of fixing the one?
Well, why did he have the ones that were set up to act as a gate? Where did those come from? Yes, he built a lot of stuff. He builds a ton of stuff. He spends a lot of money, but he doesn't produce anything according to what people can see.
Right.
Well, long story short, Egon makes an appearance. This is really well done because they don't have him speak. With the way they've been doing the facial reconstructions and the CGI, the way that's been coming out, usually what kills the characters as soon as they open their mouth, it just fails. We don't have that technology yet or the artistry to make it flow right. Anything from just replacing a mustache to a complete face, depending on which movie you're talking about. Egon doesn't speak. He stays just barely out of focus because he's a spirit, and I think they did a good homage there. And Phoebe comes up with a bright idea to get the supercapacitors recharged by using the proton pack, which then captures all the ghosts.
Yeah. And it's Egon in that moment that's really touching.
Yeah.
The end, reconnecting with his daughter, that he really did love his daughter. It's, for lack of a better word, the greater good.
Yeah, it was literally a greater good moment because Egon realized that Gozer wasn't ready. It wasn't done, but it was getting ready to come back. And lo and behold, he was preparing for this. He knew that he had to set up this. He had to stop in order to save not only his daughter, his grandchildren, the world. Mm-hmm. He sacrificed everything, and when you realize that, they did a really good job tugging on the heartstrings as far as making you feel for this man was looking out for everyone.
Right.
But that being said, when all the spirits are sucked into the traps, especially Gozer and everything else, he's still around. The traps didn't suck him in.
I still think it's because he was off to the side. He was not over the trap, even the ghost from the air, like in New York.
He was in the dirt.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the circumference of the traps.
I think he was.
I don't think so.
I think he was.
Nope. Nope.
Was. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Either way, there was enough trap suction there. He should have pulled him. It should have been pulled in. There should have been. Yes. And I said this before, and I'll say this is again why. Had they sucked Egon into one of the traps, that would have given them a reason to actually develop the children more into another Ghostbuster story.
Maybe they can do it as an alternate ending, and I don't know, maybe do an offshoot cartoon like they did in the 80s.
What's funny is the cartoon was considered non-canon compared to the rest of the stories, which was weird in its own way.
Yeah, it definitely has a following.
Oh, yeah, still.
The real Ghostbusters cartoon. We're showing our age.
Yeah, and for those who want to know, Sigourney Weaver does make an appearance in the end credit scene. There is an end credit scene. That being said, there are probably, 3-4 dozen hints to the original movie. A couple to the second movie, too.
There's Easter eggs all over the place. Yeah. And I've even gone online onto some of the different outlets and read their idea of the Easter eggs, and they usually only put in 3 or 4, but there was a lot more.
Yeah,
there really was. They just put in the real obvious.
Yeah,
obvious Easter eggs.
I think they put in more than real obvious ones.
Well, I'm talking about the other people that are reviewing the Easter eggs online. They only count down 5. They count down the real obvious ones, but there's more. I think there than what they're really. Yeah,
this really is a trip down memory lane. This is a nostalgia film, but I think they did a really good job trying to bring that across. And not only did they cater to the fans, they created a good story.
Right, and this one really did seem like it was for the fans.
Yeah,
and they even tell you at the beginning, they're like, you might see the end coming, but no spoilers. Don't spoil it for those who are new to this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what they said, even watch all the spoilers, because there is or at least the theater we watched it at had a little intro where the director tells you, there's a lot of stuff here. Look out for it, and don't give away anything. But spoilers.
I think that's part of the that intro is part of the showing because I've read about that as well.
Yep. So how would you rate this in your own manner, the movie itself?
How would I rate it?
Yeah.
I'm not good at rating things. I mean, I enjoyed it. I really did. And yeah, there was a lot of rehash. Mm-hmm. But you know, if you've never seen the original Ghostbusters, the first two movies, or even just the first movie, it's a lot of fun. It's really good. But seeing the first movie and loving, you know, being a big fan of the first movie, just all the little things and brought into it.
Having said that, I think they give you enough of the background where you don't need to have seen the original, but you should as soon as you finish watching this movie. Go see the original.
Yeah.
The second one isn't as necessary, but if you want to stay within the universe and see what else is there, definitely see Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I don't really care for Ghostbusters 2 personally. It's
not the better one.
Yeah, I love the first one. I've always loved the first one, and this one really, I didn't see anything really that tipped off for Ghostbusters 2 at all. Like Easter eggs.
The Easter eggs are small, and because they didn't base it off the second one, they based it off the core.
No, it's based off the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could get away without ever seeing the second one personally.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And it does nothing for this movie.
It's now. Bear in mind, I'm going to use this as an example. It really is the Temple of Doom of this series. I love Temple of Doom. Don't get me wrong.
I love Temple of Doom.
But it does stand alone enough to where it is unnecessary for any of the background and story and all that. If you want to stick with canon and watch all that, sure, but be prepared to make sure you drop all of the cartoon, because the cartoon was literally, when the second movie came out, completely dropped and said, no, that's not canon at all.
Right.
So, all right. Anything else you want to add?
If you're hesitant on seeing the movie, I say go see it. It's fun. I mean, if you're hesitant because you think, all it is a retelling of the first, it's still worth seeing. I mean, it's got a lot of laughs, good acting, there's a lot of fun, a lot of cool Easter eggs. And
I want to see,
very enjoyable.
I want to see the children in other things. I want to see how they progress.
Absolutely.
Phoebe really takes she nails it. She takes the cake. She does everything. She is the one to watch.
Right.
She did an excellent job portraying this super genius.
Yeah.
So
she's Egon incarnate because she's.
They either found the right person or they molded her just right. The director did a good job making sure she stayed on where she needed to be. She made sure she stayed in character.
Right.
Kudos to her.
And even Paul Rudd doesn't really have a big part in it, but his character's still a lot of fun. I'd like to see more.
I was afraid he was going to steal the show and be the only reason to see it.
Yeah, and I'm glad he wasn't. I mean, I don't know if I just didn't remember that he was even in it until we saw it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like his character. His character is pretty awesome, super nerd, but he wasn't the main point of the show at all, which is really nice. It was all the kids, Phoebe mainly. And
So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. As like I said, Ghostbusters Afterlife, 2 chairs, which means go see it. It's really worth it. It's a good, fun time. Get your popcorn, get your soda, get your candy, and prepare for some good laughs.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who are very well versed in the original, prepare for some great throwbacks.
And a jump scare or two. We watched a lady throw her popcorn.
Oh, I know. That was great. That I won't spoil, but that was fantastic. 2 rows in front of us, boom, and she went popcorn straight up. It was great.
Yep.
So, Ghostbusters Afterlife, go see it before it's out of theaters, because theaters are a really great place to see it. If you are not the sort of person who wants to be around any other people because of the obvious things going on, see where it's streaming or wait for it to come out on Blu-ray.
It's worth picking up on Blu-ray. That's
Oh yeah.
I'll be getting it to watch it again. That's for certain.
It's definitely adding to our collection. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week with an unknown guest at this point because we're still booking. And matter of fact, if you'd like to be on the show, email below radioactiveshack@timeofyourhalflife.com. Don't forget the hyphen. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and goodbye.
Hello, Andy. This is Colin. I won't be able to get in tonight. I'm sweating all big. I'm sweating all big. I'm sweating all big.